Right now on the National Weather Desk, as another threat of severe weather arrives later today, we'll take you to the communities that are still cleaning up from storms over the past month.
Days of stress, sleepless nights, and costly repairs to keep water out of their homes.
A new warning about a harmful algae in a popular Utah river.
Is there any concern that we could lose more dogs this summer to the algae?
Absolutely.
A sigh of relief over water levels in the Great Lakes.
We witnessed the month of April as a record month. That's just tremendous.
How NASA is using sounds to make space more inclusive to the blind and visually impaired.
There's all these different ways for you to understand data through sound.
And a closer look at the months of midnight sun in the Arctic Circle.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. Now, the threat for severe weather returns today, and this time it's the northern Rockies. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a level 2 out of 5 risk from northern Utah to the Canadian border. That includes Salt Lake City, Jackson, Wyoming, and Missoula, Montana. Severe scattered storms with damaging wind gusts are the primary hazard. Now, these storms aren't expected to produce tornadoes, but straight line winds can be just as damaging. While there is a big difference between the two, both can also, again, cause that extensive damage. So we start with meteorologist Hannah Sheehy.
Put simply, straight-line winds refer to thunderstorm winds that are not associated with rotation, meaning they move in a single direction rather than swirling like a tornado. When comparing damage from straight-line winds versus tornadoes, there's a key phase to remember: in or out. Winds flow into a tornado, so debris often falls at different angles because of the storm's rotation, leaving behind a chaotic damage pattern. Winds often flow out of thunderstorms, creating straight-line winds, so debris is typically pushed in the same direction. But what causes this and how do they form in thunderstorms? This graphic shows how a downburst forms and how they produce straight line winds. As rain falls through a thunderstorm, it can pass through a layer of dry air, causing evaporative cooling. This process cools the air rapidly, making it denser and heavier than its surroundings. That cooler, heavier air rushes downward toward the ground. When it hits the surface, it spreads outward in all directions, and it's called outflow. These strong winds are what we experience as straight line winds, causing damage in a consistent direction.
Now to Michigan, where the largest assessment of weather-related damage in state history, that's taking place across 40 counties. Federal officials went door-to-door in northern Michigan on Tuesday to see what the ice, flooding, and tornadoes left behind after recent storms. Tony Lundy has more.
Teams from FEMA, the state of Michigan, Benzie County, and the Small Business Administration spent the day visiting homes in Lake Ann, documenting how floodwaters impacted families and their primary residencies. For homeowners here, the inspections come after days of stress, sleepless nights, and costly repairs to keep water out of their homes.
We will collect that data along with the state and the county officials. We'll turn that information over to the state. They'll analyze it, take a review, and determine, and then hand it over to the governor, who will make a decision about whether to request a federal disaster declaration.
One homeowner, Rhiannon Decker, says heavy rain pushed water through her crawl space and left her family scrambling to stop it from reaching the basement. She says 3 sump pumps had to be replaced, costing more than $2,000, while standing water remained outside the home.
We were just every few hours soaking it up with a ton of towels, putting it through spin dry and then the dryer, and it's just like, it was just a couple hours rotation. I mean, it was like having a newborn again. We weren't getting much sleep. But luckily we managed it without too much damage.
Decker says while her family managed, she knows many neighbors are dealing with much worse damage and hopes this process brings needed assistance to the area.
I know there's so many people who weren't so lucky, so we're happy to help add to that data set that gets as much help to this area as we possibly could.
Now to the fields of Wisconsin, where farmers are making progress. It's nearly a month after the northeast part of the state saw a lot of rain and flooding. Meteorologist Audrey Lee has the story.
It's planting season, and activity is picking up in the fields across northeast Wisconsin.
When I would drive between facility and facility, it was amazing the number of tractors that were in the fields. So a lot of corn and beans got planted in the last 2 weeks.
Our recent dry weather has helped.
We've been fortunate here. These last 7 days were all really dry, really sunny, and it allowed most guys to get into the fields actually ahead of schedule.
But April's historic rainfall and flooding did slow some things down.
It did also delay manure moving, which for northeast Wisconsin with all our cows can be pretty impactful as we're trying to get all that manure moved out into the fields.
For many farms, cooler temperatures meant the fields weren't ready.
It was still too cold when we had the flooding, which was fortunate for us and for pretty much everyone in the area.
As of Monday, the USDA reports 31% of Wisconsin's corn crop has been planted, and 28% of soybeans are in the ground. Both are up from 10% from the week prior. Now the focus is on logistics.
Biggest challenge for us right now is just moving manure out and getting that handled. There's only a certain number of operators in the area that can do that, and they're all custom hired.
Warmer temperatures would help speed things along, but a good balance of sun and rain is perfect.
Ideal is about a ½ inch of rain every Sunday. That way you don't have to work on Sunday. Otherwise, it's sunshine and rain in intermittent times so we can have the sun for the crops to grow.
On Monday, we showed you the northern Alaska city where midnight summer is now a fact of life. The sun won't set here again until August thanks to an approaching summer solstice. So meteorologist Noah Huck tells us more about that.
For most of the U.S., we're going to have a pretty normal day and night cycle. The only difference being that as we head towards the winter solstice or December, our days are going to get shorter. And as we head towards the summer solstice in June, our days are going to get longer. But the same cannot be said for our friends over in Utqiagvik, Alaska, because they're going to get awfully close and personal with the sun over the next couple of months because it's not going to set for 84 days. And this is going to start a period known as the Arctic annual midnight season, where this is for places above the Arctic Circle at 66 degrees north latitude, where the sun is going to be over the horizon for an extended period of time. And for those over in Utqiagvik, they're not going to see that sunset until August the 2nd. And this is going to be all because of the tilt of the Earth as well as the orbit of Earth as well, because as we head towards the summer solstice, the northern hemisphere is going to be tilted more and more towards the sun. And that means for us in the contiguous United States, we're going to see longer days, and for those in the above the Arctic Circle are going to see the sun be above the horizon for multiple months at a time, especially a couple months over in Utqiagvik. And we even have a video from the National Weather Service in Fairbanks, Alaska, seeing that sun set for the final time, then coming up being above the horizon for the next couple of months.
Turning to southern Utah, where there's a warning about harmful algae blooming along a popular river, and it's expected to get worse during the summer months. Samantha Hoffman has that story.
In the Virgin River, there's a silent killer, bright like blue-green paint on the water.
It's such a quick death. You don't have a lot of time to get them to a vet.
Blue-green algae, also known as cyanobacteria or harmful algae blooms, grows in waterways. Animal Control Officer Tanya Rangel says this year the drought has made water more stagnant, fostering growth. Today we hit triple digits. It's only going to get hotter. Is there any concern that we could lose more dogs this summer to the algae?
Absolutely. The heat is a factor in it. So the more heat that we have, the longer periods that we have of the heat, the more the algae is going to bloom.
David Heaton with the Southwest Utah Health Department says the amount of blue-green algae in the river has grown in recent years and is harmful to both pets and humans.
So for people, it can be skin irritations, rashes, itching, red eyes. You can start having respiratory problems, sore throat, headaches.
The Department of Environmental Quality and Zion National Park monitor the levels to rank them from health watch to warning and then danger.
Right now, the Virgin River and some of its tributaries are under the health watch and the health warning issues, which are don't submerge your head underwater, keep your pets from being in the water and drinking from it.
Could algae levels ever get to the point where people or pets should not get in the water altogether?
It would be possible to get to that danger status. I think the best thing to do would be just to monitor the situation.
And check out this cool time lapse from the Pacific Northwest. This was last week. You can see a dense layer of clouds rolled over Bellevue, Washington one morning. But the sun's rays managed to penetrate in some spots. Downtown and the surrounding communities were still pretty dark, but Lake Washington came alive with all that light. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll learn how sound is helping the visually impaired see space. And we'll find out why some areas claim to have 3 distinct summers. And as we head to break, we take in sunrise views over the Baltimore, Maryland.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. With Look the Northeast, our pattern is looking a little unsettled in the Northeast over the next 3 days. There'll be a little bit of rain that moves into the Northeast today, but it's fairly light and mostly associated with a warm front. Unfortunately, the warmer temperatures are not going to break in here, though. An area of low pressure will be developing off to the south down towards Long Island heading into Thursday, and that's going to bring with it another round of rain and a steadier and heavier rain, particularly for New England Thursday afternoon and Thursday night. That rain will wind down on Friday.
I'm meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. This afternoon, we will have the chance of showers and storms all ahead of a cold front. There could be some moderate, even heavy rain at times all ahead of the front. As the front continues to pass into early Thursday morning, the rain showers will start to taper and most of the region will stay dry. High temperatures will reach the 50s, 60s, and 70s, so warm ahead of the cold front. Then after that, get ready for a cool night as temperatures drop down to the 40s and 50s.
I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. Another warm afternoon for parts of the southeast. Temperatures running in the mid-80s across the Mississippi River Valley, northern Gulf Coast, and the upper 80s across central and south Florida. As we head into your Wednesday, expect drier air for most of the southeast. The chance for a few showers across parts of central and south Florida as a frontal boundary moves south. We'll see that dry air finally filter its way into South Florida through Thursday with a mostly sunny sky for the southeast.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
It's the time of year for getting out on the water, and folks heading out on Lake Michigan have some good news to celebrate. The lake saw water levels jump to nearly 14 inches in April, easing worries about low levels this spring. Ethan Foreman has that story.
Water levels on the Great Lakes have always fluctuated, but especially in the last few years.
2 years ago or so, the water went way down. And for docks and hoists, there was times that dock wasn't hardly in water. It was ankle deep, and boats weren't able to get on hoists, and was a drastic issue across the county, across the region.
With the cold and snowy winter, docks are going in a little bit later than normal this year.
This year we started about the 20th of April. We get them in all spring. And, you know, Memorial Day weekend's our deadline, but this year we're going to be pushed back beyond that.
Inland Seas Education Association Executive Director Fred Sitkins says we saw near record lake levels in 2024, and in 2025 they were significantly down. This year things are a little more normal.
We witnessed the month of April as a record month. Dating all the way back to 109 years, we saw a 13.4-inch increase in the Lakes Michigan and Huron water levels. That's just tremendous. Lake Superior also rose at a significant level in April. All of the lakes are now on an upward trend, which is really refreshing.
Currently, the lake levels on Lake Michigan and Lake Huron are just above the normal average of around 579 feet. Lake Superior is also close to its normal level of 601 feet.
The lakes were in a perfect position to receive this water.
Sitkins says that if we see an average summer in terms of rain, or even slightly below average, we are on tap for a great summer on the Great Lakes.
A beetle called the emerald ash borer is an invasive species that's killing ash trees across many states, including Maine, and that destruction is now having a major impact on a centuries-old tradition, basket weaving. Meteorologist Ryan Munn has details.
Mark Young has a passion for making baskets out of brown ash trees. It's something that takes time and a lot of hard work.
If I start with that raw material, it'll probably take me a day, maybe two, just to get the rough edges off and the size down to where I'm gonna work it. And then probably another 2 or 3 days making the basket.
He uses a special forestry tool to sample the growth rings in an ash tree. Once he finds a tree he likes,
and last year this ash tree leafed out.
It's a matter of pounding the log to separate those rings.
What I don't want is a tree that's got all really thin growth rings, because I need heavy growth rings for certain parts of this basket, and I need thinner growth rings for other parts of the basket.
Unfortunately, an invasive species known as the emerald ash borer has been killing a lot of ash trees all across southern Maine, and it's making it harder for basket makers to get the materials they need.
You'll see like big brown patches of branches that should have leaves, and there'll be no leaves on the branches. And so the bugs start in the upper canopy and then they work their way down.
But this has not discouraged Mark or lessened his motivation to continue making these baskets.
Being able to make them for friends and relatives. I mean, I've made, like all my granddaughters have got baskets. Probably the most satisfying part is making them for somebody that you really care about.
And now for something that's out of this world. NASA is working to make space inclusive to the blind and visually impaired by translating images into sounds. Meteorologist Emily Gracie has that story.
Think about the last time you looked up at the night sky. The blackness of space adorned with the glittering radiance of countless stars. Peering into a telescope, you see distant planets, faraway galaxies. Now, imagine if rather than taking that in with your eyes, you were using your ears. What would a black hole sound like? What about Saturn's rings? What if these sounds were the only way you could understand what was going on in space?
Our ears are sensitive in ways that our eyes are not. You can hear changes. You can hear small changes in your data. You can process through large data over time. There's all these different ways for you to understand data through sound.
Sonifications allow the audience, including blind and visually impaired communities, to listen to astronomical images and explore their data.
What we're doing is we're just taking that process of translation and moving it one step further. So instead of just an image, we're taking the image and then mathematically mapping it to sound.
Dr. Kimberly Arcand and her team from the Chandra X-ray Observatory created dozens of sonifications giving voice to celestial objects from across the universe.
One of the most scientifically important images I've ever gotten to work on, it's called the Chandra Deep Field South. And what Chandra found in this, kind of normal patch of the sky was thousands and thousands of black holes. And so as you're going through it, you're hearing this beautiful sort of scene of young, massive black holes, and you feel like you're in it. The sonification, I think, communicates some of the excitement to it a little bit better than the image itself does alone, which I love.
Their goal? To reach new audiences and create new experiences.
Sound, music tends to be very sticky in your minds, right? Like you can get a song stuck in your mind for quite a long time, right? And it has a very different quality in your brain than just an image has.
A tool for research, communication, and storytelling.
It's a beautiful universe out there, and I hope we can all discover it.
And NASA is still dropping some pretty amazing visuals from space. Earlier this month, they released more great photos from the Artemis II mission, and Patrick Cornell shows us some more of the spectacular ones.
During their 10-day trip around the moon, the crew of Artemis II snapped images of the Earth, moon, stars, and solar system in dazzling clarity. NASA posted more than 12,000 of the incredible star-laden snapshots online for everyone to enjoy. We don't have time to show off all these stunning space pics, but we can show you some of our favorites, starting with our own Earth in all its glory. Zooming way out to show the planet peeking out from over the top of the moon. And we bring the moon into further focus with detailed pics of the lunar surface where the crew of Artemis 4 hopes to land in 2028. Plus, a POV picture from inside the Orion showing a view the 4 astronauts surely enjoyed and now we get to see as well.
Time now for a short break, but first let's take to the skies over Moab, Utah.
Well, a very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Things are starting to warm back up again across the plains. A lot of sunshine. Still got a little bit of rain across the Ohio Valley, kicking its way out of here today with pretty breezy conditions for the lower Great Lakes. Jumping into the day tomorrow, got a little bit of rain starting to sneak its way back into the far north, and that kind of works its way south on Friday. And a lot of temperatures in the 70s and 80s, even some 90s by Friday.
Well, a good Wednesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Uche. Look at our forecast today across the region. And nice, comfortable morning, the afternoon, sunny skies. No rain chance really across the region. Those temperatures getting a little warmer, but not bad. 80s and some 90s. We step into that forecast Thursday, and we're going to start to see a little bit more humidity start to pump in. You see a few extra clouds. Really not much of a rain chance. 80s and 90s for highs.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Wednesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. What an about face in the Pacific Northwest today after a stormy overnight. Highs in the 80s and the 90s yesterday. What a powerful storm. Just 50s today in the Emerald City with a rainy afternoon in the North Sound. 101 out of Phoenix, and all of the heat moving through the Dakotas, eventually bringing higher fire danger there. Windy in the wake of the storm through parts of Oregon and Nevada. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Summer is not far off, but did you know there are 3 types of summer? And according to some, it's already started. Meteorologist Brandon Stover explains.
Well, did you know that there are 3 types of summer? We are in 2 of those right now. The first is called solar summer. These are the months with the strongest sun rays of the year. May, June, and July, also the longest days of the year. The second is called meteorological summer. These are the warmest months of the year, which include June, July, and August. Grouping these 3 months also makes it easier for keeping climate stats by season. And finally, the summer that all of us know is astronomical summer. This is the time in which the most direct rays of the sun can be found in the northern hemisphere, which begins over the Tropic of Cancer in late June before slowly retreating to the equator late in September.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. Make it a great day. I'll see you back here tomorrow.